Hello, viewers, and welcome to the GI Huddle. I'm Tim Poole, editor of Gambling Insider, and I'm with Sam, LiveScore Group CEO. Sam, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you, Tim. Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Excited to talk to you about a number of B2C sort of operator concepts. To start off with, I thought I could open the floor to you and you could tell us all about LiveScore Group and the distinction between the brands you have.
Of course. So we have LiveScore Bet and Virgin Bet, which are two industry-leading sports books. Virgin Bet being operational in UK and LiveScore Bet being in UK, Ireland, Nigeria, and Netherlands. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we have our sports media brand in LiveScore, which, by the way, has entered its 25th anniversary year. And that is active globally with over 50 million monthly active users. And these three products, we combine them in a very integrated ecosystem, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in the show.
Yeah, definitely. We'll talk about kind of convergence and sports media. Virgin Bet kind of it entered the UK market sort of within the last couple of years. Obviously, I think you'll know the exact date a little bit better than me. But I wanted to ask you about the launch of that brand because Virgin is quite a famous name outside of betting, and Virgin Bet now kind of it has a ring to it. What were the challenges you faced, and how would you say the brand is currently competing in obviously what is a very competitive UK marketplace?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll start with what you said last. The biggest challenge was, entering into arguably the most competitive regulated markets in the world. Yeah. With established brands, spending over 50 million pounds a year in marketing. But I'll address how we overcame that challenge with our business model later when we talk about convergence. But another challenge we faced was how do you fulfill the brand promise that Virgin comes with in the UK? How do you meet the expectations of doing things differently in a cooler way as a challenger brand? And we can confidently say that we've turned that challenge into an opportunity. We feel that the products that we've launched under the Virgin Bet brand are the best in the market by far. They're the newest, most modern interfaces, fully built and native. And, we've built some innovative retention products like Virgin Bet 5s. And obviously, as expected, we deliver the best customer service and an overall customer experience to our users. So that has worked really well. And as you know, when there's such a strong brand promise and the products and experience deliver that, that promise, it really works well in terms of user growth. Yeah, so we're very happy. I mean, Virgin Bet is a little bit over 1% market share right now. So given the environment and its steady growth, we're very happy with its progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Always interesting to hear a figure put on the market share, and yeah, there's as you say a very competitive marketplace. Convergence is a word that I've mentioned, and you've also now mentioned. The convergence between sports media and sports betting, a really hot topic at the moment, and as you say, extremely relevant to LiveScore specifically. Can you talk us through the convergence? As you say, 25 years as a media brand, and going into sports betting. What's the kind of main idea? And well, we'll get into some specifics later. Let me let you kind of talk through the overall of convergence there.
Sure. I mean, convergence, or let's say convergence of sports media and sports betting, is really all about taking this very deep symbiotic relationship that sports media and sports betting have always had since online betting was launched in 1998. And I've been lucky to be present since then in the industry. And the success of any online gambling operator really depends on the types of media deals that they're able to put in place to be able to, acquire new customers in the most economic way. And despite the fact that this is such an integral part of your success, it's always been very inefficient. It's always, media companies working with, sports betting operators with their own objectives and never really, using all the available technology and optimization opportunities to maximize this relationship. Now, why is convergence becoming a hot topic now? It's out of necessity. both business models are struggling right now. Media companies are are not able to make the same levels of profits as they used to do in the analog world. Those haven't transitioned well into digital. Subscriptions don't work, paywalls don't work that well, and online gambling operators, and especially in the Western world, are facing more regulation, and margins are decreasing. Cost of operating in online gambling business is extremely high right now.
Yeah.
So they're looking to become, more of an entertainment sports media company, so that they can, bring users into an ecosystem, and deliver them, more content, and expect to retain them longer, or at least expect that their acquisition cost will be reduced. That's their expectation, and it's a very hot term right now. And every CEO goes out and say, we're going to deliver convergence, we're going to be a media company, we're going to be an entertainment business. They're slowly realizing how difficult that is, and it's something that is going to take years to accomplish. Whereas we built our company on the fundamentals that are needed to succeed in convergence. And we can address this like with examples of where convergence has failed in the past, and the brands that are very well known that did not succeed, and how we are addressing those fundamental flaws and why we are succeeding in that space.
You mentioned that both business models are struggling. Can I put to you a question? Who needs who more? Does the media side need the betting side more, or vice versa?
That's a great question, and I have difficulty to identify. I guess it would depend also on the territory, but you could see how traditional media companies in general are struggling, and have been struggling for many years now. They're trying different business models, different types of paywalls, different types of subscriptions, but all we see are trends like subscription fatigue, cable cord cutting. So I suppose big broadcast companies, big publishers, they've gone through a period where they're now much smaller in size, and they're all looking for different, more integrated business models. But you could make a very similar, strong argument that unless you consolidate and become, giants like the Flutters and Entains of this world, it is becoming very difficult to operate profitably an online gambling business in the Western regulated world. And even like in the newly opened US market, the hot term is unit economics. Their unit economics are not working because it's very expensive to operate. It's very expensive to acquire new customers. And if you don't have an inherent advantage, and in that case, it's DFS for FanDuel and DraftKings that has created that momentum, it's very difficult to compete.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned a few things there that are a good segue into the next question, because I was going to ask you about the aim with LiveScore is this one-stop shop for sports betting. The US, as you've said, it's tough there, and we've seen specific examples of kind of MaximBet and Fubo TV that media and betting hasn't quite worked together for those two. What are the kind of main risks with, I guess, the business model of the one-stop shop, and I guess risks being challenges as well?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, like, let me take that question and revise it just a little bit. We'd like to see ourselves a one-stop shop for sports content. And really, betting is a type of sports content that is transactional, but we see that as just one piece of the ecosystem. We have passive sports content where users can come and read the news and check the scores. And there's transactional where they can actually, use their wallet and to transact. And there's also interactive, like free-to-play games, etc. These are all part of the current and then the future ecosystem that we're building. So to your question about, brands that have tried to construct this, and you can even go, in history and look at, some of the European media brands that have attempted to do similar, like Sunbets. There's examples in Italy, Gazzetta Bet and Eurosport and Goal have tried also in the past. And what they have in their business model is just, very large fundamental flaws. First of all, the big assumption that if you release just any sports book to your audience with your brand and expose them to marketing messages, your audience will stop using, their established, bookmaker, which could be Bet365 or Sky Bet, and move their wallets and their loyalty to you just because they've seen an ad or because you're offering them a product with your media brand. That will never happen. You cannot ask your users to downgrade their betting experience if you're not delivering something in return. So there's always this value exchange, and you have to deliver value to the user for them to switch their loyalty from a company that delivers them a great product. And also, these companies have never really invested in the right technology to be able to, achieve a level of convergence that is ultimately at the end going to benefit that user. What we like to compare ourselves more is to what Apple does in their ecosystem, how your single account, can be used to listen to music on your phone, and then can be used, on your TV to stream content. And there you're getting value in the form of convenience. So the devices recognize you and are delivering you a seamless experience. And there's value in terms of relevance. When we know we have a user in our ecosystem, we know, their favorite team, what kind of news they like to read, what kind of, engagement they deliver to various types of content. And if they're betting, what markets do they like? Where do they really want to receive, rewards? So we take all of this, and then we also, add to the fact that our sportsbook is tier 1, world class, has everything that's, a Bet365 or a Sky Bet can deliver, but put all of that on top. So we know what the user really values, and we deliver more and more of that. So then it starts becoming a flywheel that turns a lot faster than if you're experiencing these two products separately. And we do keep them separate still. So LiveScore is a sports app. We don't want to clutter that too much with betting. And LiveScore Bet is a betting app, and it requires a certain interface to make it easy to use. But the connection is on the background, and that's where value really surfaces on both ends. Then,
that's a good preemptive answer, because I was gonna ask you maybe a slightly awkward question next, but you've kind of touched on why that it may work. I was going to ask, aren't there a good chunk of customers who are more than happy to keep their sports betting and their sports reading separate? So, just for example, if I were to read an article on a Sky Sports or an ESPN, and then bet with another sports book, what if it's the case that a large chunk of the market, and you guys will have obviously researched this more than just an objective commentator, what if it's the case that a lot of people are happy to keep them separate?
No, that's a great observation and a great prediction in a way, because they will. These two different areas of sports consumption are very different. So to be able to optimize that customer experience, you need to deliver that content in the best possible interface. So the interface you need to deliver, your news content, your live streaming, your prediction games, all the deep stats and content that users want to access has to be custom built for that type of consumption. Whereas betting interface is entirely different. It's around ease of transaction, trying to get to your markets quickly. It's about how the cashier behaves. If you start bringing these together, you're delivering a suboptimal experience on both ends. So the way we deliver more value to the user is based on the knowledge we have on the user, but we still use separate products to deliver that value. You could make a comparison to social media and how you may want to use, if anybody's still using it, Facebook for social content, but you want to use Messenger for your messaging or WhatsApp for your messaging. If you don't want to read your news inside WhatsApp, even though in China they do, but Like
That's an
you
interesting
don't want
point.
to always bundle everything, and it's sometimes cleaner to be able to offer these experiences
Yeah.
as separate products.
Sure, yeah. So I get what you mean. You've got the connection, but yeah, you want to keep them separate as well. A couple of final questions for you. The last one I'll ask specifically about the company, but I wanted to ask. A couple of years ago, there were a few people who sort of threw some big names out there and said, "Imagine what sports betting would be like when if an Amazon got involved." And there's a lot of speculation about kind of ESPN and Disney, this kind of thing. Do you see the huge media giants like an Amazon or similar firms? Do you ever see them getting into sports betting? And
Um,
and that also, sorry, I guess it's a bit of a crystal ball question. You wouldn't know offhand, but just if you have a prediction or any thoughts on that kind of thing.
well, I mean, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't anticipate such moves and
Sure.
try to preempt and see how we would be able to compete if such a move did occur.
Hmm.
We do look at Amazon a lot as becoming more and more of a sports media company, and they have a similar view on convergence. It's just that they're not converging it to sports betting; they're converging it to e-commerce.
Yeah.
So they feel like they need to create a top of the funnel that's engaging and try to convert as many of those into prime customers, and it's working. We've seen how well it has worked in the UK with Premier League content, and they're expanding that. Will they ever get into betting? There is a possibility. It may not be, a core, area that they would normally invest in, but yeah, we can't exclude, we can't rule out that possibility. So before that does, we need to put LiveScore Group in a position that we are able to compete with such giants. We think, large tech companies, and Amazon is really the best example of that, would be formidable, competitors if they did enter this space. But it's not an easy space to enter. It's a
Yeah.
highly regulated market that requires an enormous amount of domain knowledge and technology. So if they did one day decide to invest, they'd probably look to make a big acquisition, and we'd like to be there in the
Uh-huh.
conversation.
No, interesting. Yeah, for sure. As I say, the final question I wanted to sort of give you a chance to go back to LiveScore Group itself. You've talked a lot about the aims and the ambitions for the group and the different brands. Long term, what are your plans for LiveScore Bet and Virgin Bet? And perhaps with Virgin, in the UK market, if I was to ask you, if we sat here, and let's say in 5 years, where would be the ideal kind of market position?
Well, I mean, we don't look at it as individual brands, but rather,
Sure.
we're continuing to invest into our product, which is really the ecosystem of these three brands.
Hmm.
As you may have seen in the news, we just concluded a successful fundraise that valued our business at £500 million. We're going to look to probably raise more capital in the new year because we've established that our business model really works. And right now we have tremendous opportunities to scale this business model to territories where we already have a very large user base with LiveScore, and that is, primarily in Africa. Then we have a partnership with our investor Ringier Group for expanding into Eastern Europe, where we apply our ecosystem product, but to their media brands, and they own some of the largest digital sports properties in countries like Bulgaria, Romania, and Serbia. And in addition, we would like to, invest more into our existing territories and into more of our tech. So it's an established business model that, with a bit more capital can accelerate the growth. In 3 to 5 years, we can easily see our business, going from, the 100+ million annual revenues of today to getting to 1 billion revenues in about 5 years. That's what really our projections are at.
Mm. Well, fantastic. Good to hear that ambition, and best of luck with everything that entails. Sam, thanks very much for your time. It's great to hear about the brand, but also the wider conversations we've had about the industry. Really happy to hear your insight.
Thanks, Tim. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Cheers.